Joining me now is Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi. So much to talk about. So first of all, your reaction to these first steps. The first 3 weeks have been the shutdown of many departments already, foreign aid, the attempts by Elon Musk's people to get into the Treasury payment system. I mean, where to start? What do you think about what Democrats should do?
We're very proud of Hakeem Jeffries, our leader. He has given us guidance on our priorities, what we're here to fight for, but also how we counter the Trump administration with litigation in the courts, legislation on the floor of the House, as well as communication and mobilization at the grassroots level. Our focus has largely been on domestic. Now they're doing some foreign affairs. Senator Warner, I thought, perfectly addressed the issues that relate to intelligence, asking for the names of sources, of sources, and therefore methods of our intelligence, which is there to protect our men and women in uniform and the American people, is with stiff competition one of the worst ideas of this administration so far. With stiff competition, the worst idea. I don't even think President Trump knows about it because it doesn't even reach the level of his lack of sophistication in terms of intelligence. But in terms of this, you named several things, and what they're doing at the Treasury Department is directly connected to the kitchen table of American people in terms of the privacy of their information. Whatever prescriptions you or I may be taking are now in their hands. They can make that known. The issues about cutting spending and as we negotiate the bills is affecting rural America. Virginia, so many rural community health centers are being shut down right in this Republican governor state here. So this people have to understand that this isn't only about global. This is about you. It's about personal.
Well, in fact, $2 billion of the USAID budget is to buy American farmers surplus crops to feed the starving people in Sudan and Gaza and elsewhere in the world.
But so thank you for making that point. But mostly all of our foreign assistance has been invested in Ukraine. Almost 90% of the money that we spent on weaponry for Ukraine is spent in the United States. Almost that much of the humanitarian assistance.
Our defense industry manufacturing those weapons.
It's about jobs, jobs, jobs in the United States. But these issues, for example, Medicaid, the threat that they are to Medicaid. Medicaid, people think of as a poor people program. And for poor children, it is. But a large amount of the money that is spent on Medicaid is for middle-income family benefit for their seniors to have health care. Long-term care. Long-term care. They're in a place where this is covered. Otherwise, they'd be living in their homes, which they may or may not have the space for, or just the dynamic for. So, again, this is about their goal in life is to give tax cuts to the rich. That's the only thing they did when they had the power before. $2 trillion to the national debt, 83% of the benefit to the top 1%, and they want to do it again even bigger. And so how do they do that? But by saying we have to cut these other things that go right to the kitchen table. These tariffs, ridiculous. Right to the kitchen table, increasing cost rather than reducing cost, which the president said was a priority for him.
Bill Gates has been one of the leading experts on global health and on improving health in Africa and other underserved parts of the world. And he went to the White House yesterday to meet with the president and with the chief of staff, Susie Wiles. And here's what he said to Savannah Guthrie afterwards.
I definitely made the case that programs like the President's Malaria Initiative that goes back to President Bush, and in particular PEPFAR, which is preventing mothers from transmitting HIV to their babies. Probably the ugliest face of AIDS is that unless you intervene, your baby will get infected and only live a few years.
Now, PEPFAR was begun by George W. Bush in coordination with
the Democrats in the Congress
Democrats
of the
in the
United
Congress.
States.
I know, but it was embraced by Bush, by
Yes.
Bono. It was a bipartisan effort.
Bono,
and
sure.
they saved 26 million people. And right now, from my information, those HIV drugs are not getting to the people who are already on them. And without those drugs, they will lapse into, terrible new infections, and opportunistic HIV viruses of different sorts even.
Well, you're right to acknowledge President Bush. He was very much a part of our initiative, but it was bipartisan. And I said to Bono, no photo op unless this is a big PEPFAR. And it is a big PEPFAR. And the President Bush and Laura Bush have been faithful to it, to visit sites and all the rest.
So what would you say to Donald Trump about this cut? Because my reporting is that, Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, quickly said, we'll have a waiver for vital health needs and food. Those waivers are not legally applicable yet in the field. So people in the field are still not able to distribute that aid because they need more than a waiver, more than a memo in order to go back to work.
Exactly right. And many people do not have their jobs anymore in order to implement what a waiver might be able to provide. But what I would say to your question to the president is all of this PEPFAR, again, praising President Bush and the Democrats in the Congress, this protects the American people. When COVID was active, I talked to the head of the WHO and I said, has our action on PEPFAR helped us with this? He said, absolutely. The science, the distribution of drugs, all of that has been positive in terms of preventing the further spread of COVID. So there are other things, Ebola, other things that we could be victimized in our own country if we don't keep it away from us by protecting those people. And one more point on that is that I visited these centers where the people would come in for PEPFAR, and they would say, I would never have admitted that I was HIV positive to my family if it weren't for PEPFAR, because there was no answer. But PEPFAR is an answer. And as I said, the President and the First Lady, Bush and Laura, they have been true to it.
Does the President Trump in his first term, you stood up to him. Famously, you stood up to him in a meeting when you actually walked out of that meeting because of what was going on with the congressional leaders. And maybe even more famously at a State of the Union, you tore up his speech. You were the face, really, the embodiment of the Democratic resistance in Trump 1. There were leaders in both parties, obviously, Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer, but there's no national leader right now. How can Democrats fight back?
Well, I think that our congressional leadership is very strong, and as they put forth their agenda, they've only been in office, 3 weeks now? Is it 2.5 weeks? The Trump administration, and as I said, our leader, Hakeem Jeffries, working with Chuck, of course, litigation. Hold them up in the court. Slow down this process. Legislation. We will be having legislation introduced.
How do you pass anything when they've got the majority?
Well, you know what you do? Here's what we did. Let me just say. In 2006, we hadn't won since 1992. Harry Reid and I said, we're going to win this election. And we made a decision with outside mobilization. So these members will be hearing from people about how they are affected by the assault on the Affordable Care Act, on all the Medicaid included in that, and all these other things. These members will be hearing. There's only a 2 or 3 vote, depending on the day, margin that they have in the House of Representatives.
President Biden has said that he thinks he could have won if he hadn't been pressured to step down. Do you agree?
Well, all I know is that we won a seat in the House. We did not lose any seats. You know, people were like, well, the Democrats lost. No, we did not. I think it would have been quite different with President Biden at the top of the ticket.
The former First Lady, Jill Biden, has spoken out saying she was disappointed in you. Is there any way to patch that up? Have you spoken to the
Well, I
former
certainly
president?
hope so. No, I haven't. But the fact is that we're all on a mission for the American people, for America's working families. My whole passion about being in politics is for the children. So what is it that we're doing for the children? I think that it would have been important for the children to not have Donald Trump be president of the United States. And that is, I would take every step necessary to make sure that didn't happen, but it did. And now we have to deal with it. And in about 6 or 7 months, you're going to see such a change. By the time we start our campaigns in this fall, for next fall, you're going to see a very different picture about the Democrats vis-a-vis Donald Trump.
Well, you still have so much fight in you. I'm glad to see you after your accident.
Yeah.
You're better.
Well, let me just say, it's my honor to be here with you today on one of your last days. You have been a trailblazer for women in your field, but beyond your field as well, for young women wanting to make their own mark. So thank you for the wisdom, for the judgment, for the real clarity that have you brought to it, especially our issues that relate to foreign policy, but domestically as well. I'm honored to be with you. I think it was very important that Aviva Siegel was with you because I know how much that issue has meant to all of us, especially to you.
Speaker Emerita,
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.